Good evening and warm welcome to all of you. This is the first video of my government scheme series. In this series, I have purposefully kept three things in my mind. That it should not be too much bulky, and second, it should also cover the important information which is in the India yearbook, and the third and the most important thing is that we should focus on the different options which UPSC may create in the examination. And obviously, we are covering in this series the current affairs related to the government scheme from May 2019 to May 2020. And we will also cover the different departments because we have seen that for the last 5 years, the UPSC is also framing the questions on the particular schemes related to which particular department, which particular ministry, because it is very easy for you to memorize the different ministries, but when the matter comes to the departmental level, then you may get confused in examination. Therefore, I have kept this in my mind also. Now, coming to the very first topic is, you'll have to first understand that what are the different types of scheme. The first scheme is central sector schemes. In this scheme, there is no any financial resources being distributed between center and state. It is entirely formulated by the center, and the most important thing, that the scheme is related to the subjects best in the union list. And in this central sector scheme, the entire expenditure is borne by the central government. And the second is centrally sponsored scheme. Now, after 2014, and when the Niti Aayog has constituted the committee for the rationalization of a scheme, and that committee has recommended that we will have to squeeze the different 66 centrally sponsored scheme into three different schemes, that is core of the core scheme, and the number of the core of core scheme is 6, and second is core scheme, and the number of the core scheme is 20, and optional scheme, and the number of the optional scheme is 2. Now we will have to look into that how and what is the funding pattern between center and state with respect to core of the core scheme. In core of the core scheme, the special financial contribution by the state is mentioned in that particular scheme. For example, MG Narega. In MG Narega, 25% of the material cost is being borne by the state and 75% by the center. And then the next is core scheme. In core scheme, again, I am dividing it into three different kinds of state. For example, Himalayan states and the northeastern states, the center and state share will be into 90:10 of ratio. And with respect to the different state, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. And the third category is UT without legislature and UT with legislature. Sorry, here UT with legislature should be there. Now, UT without legislature, in this, the 100% of the expenditure will be borne by the center, and UT with legislature, the center and state will basically distribute the funding pattern in the ratio of 60:40. However, one thing which you should keep in your mind, that some of the schemes like Janani Sisu Yojna, it is centrally sponsored scheme, but 100% is funded by the center. This is, you can say, this is an exceptional to the centrally sponsored scheme. And the last one is optional scheme. In optional scheme, if the state is from the Himalayan state or the northeastern region, then the center state will make a funding pattern where the 80% will be contributed by the center and 20% will be contributed by the state. And in respect of the other states except the Himalayan and the northeastern state, the funding pattern will be 50:50. And the last one is UT without legislature and UT with legislature. Again, UT without legislature, 100% of the expenditure will be borne by the center, and UT with legislature, the expenditure is being divided between center and state in the ratio of 80:20. This is basically broadly the understanding of what are the different kinds of scheme. Now coming to the important thing, that is the scheme of the Ministry of Labor. First of all, you will have to understand that labor is in concurrent list. Therefore, both center and state can make the law, and therefore we have 44 different central and state laws regulating the affairs related to the labor management. Now, what are the constitutional provisions dealing with the welfare of the worker? In DPSP, there is an Article 43A, that is the participation of workers in the management of industries. And the second is Article 23. It is in the Fundamental Right, Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, that talks about prohibiting of trafficking and forced labor. And the last one is basically the different kinds of entry made in the union list, that is entry 22, 23, 24, 55, 61, 65. These are the entries mentioned in the union list that deals with the matter related to the labor management. This is the basically a, you can say, the broad framework of the Ministry of or the management of the labor. Now, important schemes and the different projects and the different acts related to the child labor is below. For example, the very first is National Child Labor Project. Now, basically, National Child Labor Project is what kind of a scheme? So basically, it is a central sector scheme. Now, central sector scheme means 100% expenditure will be done by the center. And when it was announced during 7th 5-year plan. And the second important information with respect to National Child Labor Project, that it is implemented at district level and collector is the implementing authority. Now what UPSC can do, that UPSC can frame the option that the chief secretary of the state is the implementing authority of the National Child Labor Project, and that statement will be wrong. No, it is the collector who is the implementing authority. Now, who is covered under this scheme, that is basically that is under the National Child Labor Project? Children in the age group of 9 to 14 years of the age are covered, and children in the age group of 5 to 8 years are linked to the formal education through Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. It simply means that the children who are in the age group of 5 to 8 years will be brought into the formal education system, and the children who are in the age group of 9 to 14 years, basically they can be provided with vocational training, they can be provided with bridge courses so that they can be employed in some kind of job after 18 years of the age, or adolescent age, that is between 14 to 18, they can be employed in the non-hazardous industries, so that they can become capable by having the vocational training. That are basically the two different kinds of the donors in the National Child Labor Project, that is the group of 9 to 14 and group of 5 to 8. Now, what are the benefits under National Child Labor Project? Just I have talked about that we will have to provide vocational training, bridge courses. We are also providing a stipend to such students to whom we are bringing them into the vocational training, and there is a provision of midday meal scheme. Obviously, when the children in the age group of 5 to 8 will be linked to the school, they will be provided with the midday meal scheme. Understood? Now, this is the very important, that the pencil project. Pencil project, you may get confused in examination that pencil project may be related to Ministry of HRD, Human Resource, but it is not the case. The pencil project is related to the implementation of National Child Labor Project, and also what is important to remember is that to implement Child Labor Act also. Basically, pencil project is a kind of portal where there is a real-time analysis of the implementation of NCLP and Child Labor Act. Understood? Now, moving to the second thing, or basically you can say the second scheme of the Ministry of Labor, that is Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana. This is very important and this is in the news. Now, in such kind of a scheme, you will have to focus on 3 or 4 important things, that who are the beneficiaries and who are not the beneficiaries, and whether there is an exit option or not. Whenever the scheme is related to certain kind of pension, then you will have to look into that whether there is an exit option, whether the beneficiaries, if died in the case, or if there is any, you can say, unprecedented death, then whether the spouse will be the beneficiary of that particular scheme or not. This is very important, because what I have observed for the last 5 years, that you are generally in the habit of mugging up the things that is a central state, that is a central sector scheme, it is a central sponsored scheme, who are the beneficiaries, but you always miss this important thing, that what will happen if the subscriber dies after 60 years. Therefore, I am dealing it in detail. Now, what kind of a scheme is this? This is a central sector scheme and voluntary and contribution. Now, contribution simply means that you are also contributing 100 rupees, then the government will also contribute an equal amount, that is of 100 rupees, that the 100 rupees of yours and 100 rupees of the government. Therefore, it is called contribution, equal contribution based scheme. Now, who will be the beneficiary? Only people who are engaged in the unorganized work and receiving less than 15,000 of the per month, and also in the age group of 18 to 40 years, and also not covered under National Pension Scheme, Employment State Insurance Corporation, and Employment Provident Fund Organization. And he should also not be in the position to pay the income tax. If these conditions are satisfied, then only you can become the beneficiary of Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana. Now the question arises, if I am giving 100 rupees, 200 rupees per month, then what I will get? Basically, you will get a minimum assured pension of 3000. Minimum simply means that it is based on your contribution. If you are contributing 5000 rupees per month, the government is also contributing 5000 rupees, then obviously you will not get minimum of 3000. But the minimum simply means that you should at least get 3000 rupees per month. But you will get it after 60 years. And what will happen if the subscriber dies after 60 years? Then in that case, a spouse will get 50% of the payment. Now you will ask to me, sir, now what will happen if the spouse dies? Then there is no any provision into this scheme. Only a scheme says that a spouse will get 50% of the payment. Now, one scenario also arises, that what will happen if subscriber dies before 60 years? Then there is an option that you can exit or you can continue. Then in that case, a spouse may exit, or a spouse may continue by giving the equal contribution in this particular scheme. Now, can a subscriber withdraw the scheme if not died but of hardship? For example, if someone have some, you can say, medical expenses, if someone have to marry their daughters, then what will happen in this case? Then you can withdraw from the scheme. Then in this condition, you will have to understand that the subscriber is not died, but because of the hardship, he will have to withdraw from this particular scheme. Then in that case, it can happen. Now, the last point related to the Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana is how the entire scheme will be implemented. The entire scheme will be implemented by Life Insurance Corporation of India, LIC, and Common Service Center E-Governance Service India Limited. Now, UPSC may confuse you by making an option that it will be implemented by all the private and the public insurance corporations or the companies. No, it will be done only by LIC, and LIC along with Common Service Center E-Governance Service Limited. And LIC will be the pension fund manager and responsible for the pension payout. And whatever the amount which is collected under Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Pension Scheme shall be invested as per the investment pattern specified by Government of India. Now you will have to understand that you are not guiding the fund manager that put this money into that particular share, put that money in that particular share. No, the investment pattern will be decided by the Government of India, and the amount which has been collected is entirely into the, you can say, ball in the court of the government with respect to the investment. This is the important information related to this particular scheme. Now coming to the second and the most important scheme, because UPSC have asked this question in, I think in 2016-17 they have asked this question, that is National Career Service Project. Now what is this scheme all about? This scheme is to transform National Employment Service by providing services. What are the different kinds of services? That they will provide you services like counseling, they will provide services like apprenticeship and information on skill employment. You might have heard about the National Employment Exchange or Employment Exchange in your state. So basically, National Career Service Project is linking all the employment exchanges across the country, and it is a mission mode project under e-governance plan. It is very important to remember that it is a mission mode project, and it was launched in 2015. And who is implementing this? It is implemented by Directorate General of Employment in the Ministry of Labor and Employment. You may get confused that this is related to the skill, and therefore the Directorate General of Employment is in the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. No, it is implemented by Directorate General of Employment, Ministry of Labor and Employment. Now, the next information related to National Career Service Project is services are available in 7 different languages. Why I have put this information? Because UPSC may frame the question that the services in the National Career Service Project is available in all the languages mentioned in the 8th schedule. No, It is available in only 7 different languages. You don't need to remember the 7 different languages. Neither it is feasible or nor the UPSC is going to frame the question out of that. Now, moving to the next important scheme under the Ministry of Labor is Pradhan Mantri ROJGAR PROTSAHAN YOJNA. Now, when the Pradhan Mantri ROJGAR PROTSAHAN YOJNA has been launched, or has been, you can say, has been implemented, it was first announced in the budget of 2016 and 17. What is the objective of this scheme? The very first objective of the scheme is to promote employment, or you can say the employment generation is the objective of the scheme. Now, what is the benefit of this scheme? The benefit of this scheme is that government will pay employment pension scheme contribution of 8.33% for all the employees registered in Employment Provident Fund organization. It simply means that those employees are registered under Employment Provident Fund organization. For them, the government is paying 8.33% for all those employees. Now, anyone can be registered under EPFO and will get the benefit of this scheme. No, only those who are earning up to 15,000 per month, not less than 50, or sorry, not equal to 15,000 or not more than 15,000. Those who are earning less than 15,000 rupees per month are eligible to get the benefit of Pradhan Mantri ROJGAR PROTSAHAN YOJNA. And this scheme will be in operation for the period of 3 years only. Now you can understand 2016-17 to 2020-2021. This is the entire period of the, or you can say the tenure of the Pradhan Mantri ROJGAR PROTSAHAN YOJNA. So here the most important thing which you need to remember is that it was announced in budget, and the next is it has a period of only 3 years, and the next is that not all those are applicable to get the benefit, only those who are earning less than 15,000. Now, moving to the next and important schemes of the Ministry of Labor is Shram Shuvidha portal. This is not basically a scheme. This is the part of the scheme Deen Dayal Upadhyay Shram Jayate Karyakram. This is the name of the scheme, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Shram Jayate Karyakram. Basically, under this scheme, Shram Shuvidha portal has been launched. Now, why the Shram Shuvidha portal has been launched? Basically, you can say in a very plain term, you can say that to increase the ease of doing business. Because basically, in Shram Shuvidha portal, we are facilitating businessmen. How? By providing them a single window for the registration and submission of their returns. So basically, this is the part of ease of doing business also. Now, the important thing which you need to remember that it is not only about the Ministry of Labor, but the Shram Shuvidha portal is catering to the 4 major organizations under the ministry, that is Office of Chief Labor Commissioner, Directorate General of Mines and Safety, Employment Provident Fund Organization, and Employment State Insurance Corporation. Basically, all these organizations are working under the Ministry of Labor. So basically, Shram Shuvidha portal is catering to the need of all these 4 different organizations. It is very important to remember with respect to the Shram Shuvidha portal, because I know you all people are very much well aware about the Shram Shuvidha portal, but this is an important information here. Now, moving to the next, that is basically it is the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Act. This is not a scheme, but basically this is an amendment act which has been done in 2016, and UPSC has a great love, I will say, with respect to the Child Labor Act, because it has been asked in mains examination also, in prelims examination also. Therefore, I am dealing with this. Now, in this amendment, what happened, that a new category has been added, that is a 14 to 18 years. The children who are in the age group of 14 to 18 years are adolescent, and they are allowed to work, but they cannot work in hazardous industries. Except in hazardous industries, they can work. However, there is a complete prohibition on the employment of the children in the age group of below 14 years. But again, there is an exception, that children below 14 years are allowed to work in family business and also in audiovisual industry and sports industry. So basically, these are the 3 exceptions. And the next important pointer related to amendment is Child Rehabilitation Fund. Now, whosoever will violate, or whosoever will understand as an offense of the particular provisions of this act, there is a provision of putting certain, you can say, certain fine on them, and that fine will constitute the child rehabilitation fund also. The act puts an onus on the state government to extend the monetary assistance by giving 15,000 rupees. Basically, the implementation is on the state government, that to provide monetary assistance to the children by providing them 15,000 rupees who are the victims of the child labor. Now, recent ILO convention India has signed, that is ILO 138 and ILO 182. ILO 138 is related to minimum wage and ILO 182 is related to worst form of the child labor. Basically, UPSC has asked one of the ILO convention in prelims examination because India has recently signed it. Therefore, I have put this two important ILO convention. Oh, and this is the basically this is the end of the first video. In the next video, we will deal with the schemes related to Ministry of Finance. Till then, thanks and goodbye.